Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Without a doubt in my mind, the most competitive category we have here in Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer is the assault rifles. We've got a lot of super competitive choices. One very not so competitive choice, the M16. We're looking at you. But today I wanted to go through and rank all the rifles we currently have in the game and break down the best class setups for those that are the absolute best of the best. So we've got our tier list here with our various different categories that we break down between MW2 multiplayer and Warzone 2 as well. Absolute meta, of course, being the best of the best. Top tier, it's very, very, very good. Competitive, relatively good overall. Average, mid tier, below average, not so great. Niche, which I don't think we're gonna have really any niche rifles this year, if I'm being honest with you, which is just meant for like one very specific thing, and then garbage, which is just not worth using. So we've got a handful of rifles right now. We're also going to see the addition of the Chimera here in Season 1 Reloaded. So further down the road, we'll probably revisit this after we see some different weapon tuning updates and whatnot go live to see how things have changed. But a good, starting point for the year of changes ahead with this list right now. So first up, we got the M4, and I would say this one currently is absolute meta. I mean, we all watched the CDO kickoff event where the M4 was the most used rifle. Everyone was just trying to frag out with this thing in public matches. The thing is so consistent, so reliable. You're looking at low recoil, great damage, great range. Like, it is all around just one of the most reliable and well-rounded rifles in the game. So absolute meta in my opinion. And following that up, we also have another absolute meta rifle in the form of the TAC-56. The SCAR in this game, spicy. Whether you're going for super long range with more of like a meta Warzone like build that you can honestly get away with using in like ground war in this game, whether you're going for a more aggressive build with the iron sights that works well for close and mid range, you got a lot of choices with this thing, and it is insanely good. Now, when I look at absolute meta, then I look at the Kastov 7.62, I really want to put it there because of its damage, but I think I'm just going to go top tier for the 7.62 just because these ones are a little bit more aggressive. They're still going to be able to fry at long ranges just like the 7.62 would, but they're going to be quicker. They're going to be easier to use. The recoil on the 7.62 much more noticeable than the M4 or the TAC-56. While this does have the best long-range TTK, its speed and its control are, keeping it in check a little bit. So I think it is like right there with absolute meta, but more so along the lines of a weapon that is really, really good, but not something that anyone could pick up and just do well with right away, right? Now, the Lockman 5.56, this thing is basically the Grau, and I think this is more of a competitive rifle when it comes down to it. It is held back a bit by its damage output, especially, when you compare it to the TAC-56 or the 7.62. It's a little bit more, in line. It's not going to put out insane power, but it is super easy to use in terms of control, in terms of its general mobility and aggressive factor there. It's got a lot going for it. It just is going to be, nothing crazy broken or crazy strong. So competitive for sure, but nothing too flashy. Now, the M13, this is an interesting one because it is very good in some places and very mediocre in others. I'm gonna say it's top tier. It's bouncing back and forth between competitive and top tier in my opinion. From mid to long range, the thing is absolutely top tier. From close to mid range, it's more competitive, maybe even average. Like, its close range TTK is nothing to write home about, but over range, it's actually insanely good. It's got a very fast TTK. It's also ridiculously easy to use as well. So you can fry with this over long ranges without having to worry about any major recoil issues or anything like that. So it definitely is top tier. I would say the 7.62 is better, so we got that in order there, but it is a gun that in the right spot is ridiculous. Now, the STB 5.56, the AUG rifle, I mean, previously we all know it was absolute meta until they nerfed its close range ability to basically kill in 3 shots. It's now a minimum of 4, even with the headshot in there, I believe. So it's definitely been brought in line with some of the other rifles. And honestly, I would not necessarily take it over the M13 or the 7.62 right now. I would say this is more of a competitive rifle at best. I would say it's better than the Lockman, so we'll move it in front of that here. I think it is still mainly a mid-range rifle. Before, though, you could use it close range, you could use it mid-range, almost as like an SMG AR hybrid. I don't think that's the case anymore because the nerf. It's definitely more so, that mid-range consistent rifle that's very easy to use, but it's not going to be the most versatile gun in the game. Then the M16, I won't lie, with all of my being, I want to put this in garbage, but I won't lie, the buffs that they gave it a little bit ago make it below average. It's still not anything good. It's not a weapon that I'd want to use, and I'm so glad I never have to touch this again because I've got Orion done. So this weapon will not be picked up unless they buff it to be ridiculously broken, which I don't think they will. It's probably always going to be a lower tier rifle in all honesty. So I'm leaving it in below average here. I don't think it's worthy of garbage tier though. It's no Dragunov, let's be real here, but it's definitely not very good. Now the Kastov 74U, the AK-74U, easy choice here for absolute meta. I am going to say it's the third best behind the M4 and the Scar, just because it's pretty limited to mainly just close range. It really is meant for SMG areas and SMG engagements. Some mid-range you could get away with using this thing for sure, but it's not really practical for long range. The long shots of this thing were not fun despite it being such a good gun, because it really is just meant for close range, it seems. So it is absolute meta for close range, maybe some mid-range, but outside of that, it's nothing too crazy. Where it is good though, it is good. And then lastly, we got the Kastov 545, and I would say this one's just an average rifle. It really is not too crazy when it comes to damage. Just like the Lockman, it is very easy to use, and honestly, the Lockman's probably the other closest weapon to being in average. I prefer it a little bit more than the Kastov 545, which is why I've got it obviously in competitive versus average. But the 545, it doesn't have anything great about it. It doesn't have anything necessarily terrible about it like the M16. So I feel like that's probably the most fitting spot. So this is our current rifle meta in MW2. Let's go through and actually break down these loadouts here for our absolute meta weapons. Also, real quick before we break down these setups, just a reminder that if you guys are new to the channel, or if you're a part of the 60% of viewers not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with news, updates, class setups, tips, everything that you need to know between Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. So feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all that stuff. And if you guys enjoy this video, if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. And of course, we got the holidays coming up here. If you're looking for the perfect gift for maybe yourself, trying to treat yourself a little bit, or for a loved one, look no further than Gamer Advantage glasses. These things are game changers when it comes to looking at screens for long periods of time. Whether you're gaming, working, doing school, these things will reduce your headaches, your eye strain. They'll allow you to sleep better at night so you can wake up feeling nice and refreshed to do it all again the next day. If you want to pick up a pair for yourself, COD Immortal has you covered with a nice little discount, and the link for that will be down in the description below. So first up here with the Kastov 74U, as mentioned, we're focused on close range primarily with this thing. We want to make this be an SMG in the form of a rifle. So we have to really play to its strengths there. We want the good speed, we want the good mobility, we want everything that an SMG would have on it by default, right? So here I go for iron sights. You don't need an optic for this. Also, the iron sights are super clean. So instead, I go for the True Tac Grip. This is going to be for better ADS and sprint to fire, obviously two huge mobility factors there. And I go ahead and I actually tune this for basically max sprint to fire, but also slightly more recoil steadiness. This does actually take away from some of the recoil controls, so you can basically gain that back by tuning up for recoil steadiness. If you don't care too much about this, you could always go for maxed out ADS speed though, and have it be a little bit more snappy. I also go for the shark fin underbarrel. Why? Because it's basically free stats. You're getting better stability as is. It doesn't take away anything from your gun. And when you go through and tune this, you can get a better strafe speed with the aim walking speed, and you can get a faster ADS out of this as well. So a super, super clutch underbarrel here that takes away nothing but adds a little bit to some pretty solid categories there. I do go for the Castle Compensator for the better horizontal and vertical control. Hurts your ADS a little bit here, but we actually tune for better gun kick control and stabilization. And that way, this thing, while we're getting a good ADS out of our other attachments, is still going to be like a laser beam in close range fights. You're not going to have to worry about really any recoil whatsoever, and it's still relatively fast, all things considered. I also use the 209 barrel for the better ADS and movement speed here, so we gain that back as well. And I tune this for a faster ADS, then also slightly better recoil steadiness. So again, you're getting the best of both worlds there. Then lastly, I go for the Olay laser for that better ADS speed and that better sprint to fire, once again making this thing nice and aggressive. And as we go into the firing range here, you'll notice that, yeah, over range, it's not really meant for those kinds of engagements, so it's not gonna be crazy there. But then you play mid-range, fries. Close range, fries. You're going to be set with this thing if you play it like an SMG, and it's easily the best close range rifle. Then we get to the TAC 56. Personally, my favorite weapon in the game. I just love the feel of the Scar. It is powerful. It's not super slow. It's a little bit heavier than some other rifles, but it's nothing too crazy. It's super easy to use. Like, it just has it all going for it. Here, I'm going for another iron sight build. So I actually go for the Olay laser first and foremost to give me that better ADS and sprint to fire. For some of those mid-range fights, it'll be a bit snappier and a bit more reliable for that, and I really do like getting that stat out of it. I also go for the Tundra barrel, better range, better velocity, better pizza Papa John's, and I tune this for better range as well, and then better steadiness, so it's going to be easy to use, and it's going to fry over mid and long range as well. I go for the Sakin Tread 40, better vertical and horizontal control here. Hurts your ADS a little bit, but we tune this for better control and better stabilization, so we actually gain that con back here. And again, just making it super, super easy to use. The Ripper Underbarrel also gives us better stability and better recoil stabilization, so this thing's not going to move when you're shooting it. I tune this for even better stability and even better stabilization as well. Then lastly, I go for the high velocity rounds here, just to, make it feel a little bit more consistent with the hit reg over mid and long range. You could always go for, a red dot if you wanted to, or a blue dot if you wanted to. You could go for a rear grip to help out with control, or an extended mag. Totally up to preference there. I just like the feel of high velocity. Load into the firing range with this thing. I mean, close range, that's about as easy as it gets, right? Mid range, super easy. Long range, super easy. And you'll notice how fast that thing fries over long range, right? Now, yeah, I'm controlling the recoil here, but that's not taking much either. Like, this thing, point and shoot, it's gonna fry. And then lastly, we got the M4, and this is sort of mimicking like what the pros would use on their M4 setup here, so it's vetted by the absolute best of the best. Again, we're going for iron sights, no need of hurting the ADS there with another optic, and I like the iron sight look on here, so I go for the Sakin ZX grip here first and foremost for that better recoil control, just making it easier to use, and I tune this for basically max stability and slightly better steadiness as well. Ripper Underbarrel on here, yet again for the same reasons as before, tuned for better stability and better recoil stabilization, so things really not going to be moving all that much. Castle Compensator here again focuses the most on horizontal control to get that side-to-side bounce out of there, a little bit more on vertical as well. We tune this for even better stabilization, and then max gun kick control yet again. The High Tower Barrel here, best barrel for range, velocity, and control, so perfect for mid to long range, gonna have your gun shooting straight, but also feeling very, very strong. We go for slightly better range and slightly better steadiness as well. Then lastly, I go for the Olay Laser yet again for the faster ADS, mainly to keep this thing a little bit aggressive in some of those mid-range fights if you find yourself there. You could also go for an optic if you wanted to, high velocity if you wanted to. That comes more so down to preference. But again, load into the firing range, close range, easy as can be, mid-range, easy as can be, long range, a little bit more shots to kill than the Scar, but it's also a little bit easier to use than the Scar. I mean, you mount with this thing, and it just shoots straight. Like, the thing doesn't move at all, even just on basic recoil. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, right? So the thing is spicy, the thing is nice. I love it. Top 3 rifles in the game right now between the TAC, the M4, and the 74U. You can't go wrong with any of them. That's how the rifle meta plays out, though. We'll have to see how it evolves over time, of course, as we see new updates, as we see new weapons added in. We'll be sure to update the list and take a look at things and how they have shifted. But that's going to wrap things up for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with all things going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.